stuff. So it actually takes a few minutes to be able to load it and set it up and whatever. So anyway, we'll get started. I'm excited to be here with Scott Cundhill all the way from the other side of the world. And you actually were in Bali the last time we spoke, and then you went to the US, and now tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, thanks, Doyle. So yes, digital nomad. I've probably been to about 50 countries, cities, etc. in the last year and a bit. Quintessential digital nomad. We spent a year and a half in Bali during lockdown, and since then we've been through Zanzibar. We've toured the whole of Egypt. 3.5 months traveling through Spain, Portugal, southwest of France. We've basically done north to south of Ireland. We've been through to the USA, Florida, New York City, and New Jersey. And I'm in the UK, so wow, that's my life, Doyle.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm jealous. Yeah, I got to get out of here, get back on an airplane. So, no, fantastic. Welcome. I just want to quickly do a quick introduction. So welcome to strategystorming.co. We're doing the official launch today. And basically, we're taking a look at how we can sort of change the equation of strategy and helping businesses do better business as well through rethinking, reinventing, and reimagining how to do better business. So right now, I've got Scott Cundhill. He's on the in-between meetings, so I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to join us. And then at the half past, we have Jumelet, who's going to be joining us from France, which is probably a bit closer to where you are right now, Scott. So thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time. So you're doing some amazing things in the digital online space, a lot with LinkedIn. What's kind of in your toolbox right now?
Yeah, thanks, Doyle. So we kind of really need to address the elephant in the room, which no one really wants to talk about. I know the Elon Musk Twitter issue started exposing it, but we really have to address the fact that there's LinkedIn and a lot of social media have become a bot automation fest. We know the industry very well, and I can tell you that at least a third of all LinkedIn profiles are fake. The significant number of the messages that you get on LinkedIn are automated. Many of the posts are automated. They are AI driven. The human to human connection is being torn to pieces, and we're just getting hit with relentless spam. So we needed to address that head on, and that's exactly what we've done. So what we've essentially done is we've built a little plugin to LinkedIn that allows you to take your trusted connections, people that are real human beings, people that you know exist, excuse me, and that you know are actual good people, and create a separate database. And that allows you to only do business via warm introductions. So the whole business that we're created now is let's start forgetting the bots and the automation and the spam, and let's make sure the people that we're dealing with are proper warm introductions. Stop attacking people cold, reaching out cold. Let's find the real connections. And if I want to meet with Doyle Buehler, then I know that BJ Stevens knows you. I'm going to go to BJ and say, hi, BJ, let's have a conversation, knowing that you can give me a warm introduction to Doyle. That's what we're trying to create.
But haven't you
and
created?
BJ's giving me thumbs up. Thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. But haven't you created sort of some automations to be able to do that? Like you're making it simpler. I know that there's some mechanics to it as well, but is it kind of balancing that sense of automation and not, or is it just completely manual?
It's manual, but there are little processes to speed it up. So yeah, I would say maybe 15% automation, 10 to 20% automation, and the rest is manual. But there's certain ways of speeding up the process, because is it automation to say well, I guess it is in a way, but to say I'm sitting on somebody's LinkedIn profile, instead of me taking their name, email address, and copying it manually, which can take me 3 or 4 minutes, I can just push a button. It pulls that data and puts it into my new trusted connection database, and then allows other people to see my trusted connections. So if you and I, Doyle, become trusted connections, for example, I can see your list of trusted connections. You can see mine. I can say, Doyle, please introduce me to these 3 people. You can go, Scott, please introduce me to these 3 people. Very quickly, we can create wonderful introductions to each other. But the secret is we know that those are good, real, honest people. They're not just random LinkedIn connections in the ether. So a little bit of automation, we're not saying get rid of it completely, but we're just saying do it ethically and in the right way.
So it's kind of like, more focused automation. It's not kind of completely random, sending messages or adding contacts and that sort of thing. Like you're keeping in that
Yes.
that human element as well.
That's right.
Can I ask, these are trusted connections, right? These
correct.
are not just somebody you have accepted a connection with. These are people you have vetted, people you've talked to, people you trust.
Absolutely. That's correct, BJ. So what happens is you've probably had a meeting with them already. You've had a conversation with them. You know they're good people. You know about them. And then you can add them to your trusted connections, and that creates a separate database. And then you can introduce people to each other as well. So and where it gets interesting. So let's look at it this way. Here's the thing, right? LinkedIn, you've probably got thousands and thousands of LinkedIn connections. Out of those thousands and thousands of LinkedIn connections, you might have 50 to 100 of them that you know and trust and like. You separate that database. Now you've got, I can do a search, and I can find a lawyer in London. And I can find a lawyer in London. I can see, BJ knows a lawyer in London. I would like to meet that lawyer. I'm not going to target that lawyer cold on LinkedIn. I'm going to reach out to you, BJ. I'm going to say, hey, BJ, if I haven't met you before, you're both part of the same network. I'd love to have a meeting with you. Let's get to know each other. I would really like an introduction to this lawyer in London. And you can say, yeah, sure, I'll introduce you. But let's you and I have a meeting first for us to get to know each other. And if I like you and get to know you, then I'll introduce you. That's the business network that we've created.
And yeah, no, it's really good stuff. I actually just sent you my most trusted connection, BJ, as well. So you'll be part of this system, and then you can decide to use it as well, which I would highly recommend as well. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty easy. So what's your goal here, Scott? It's to connect people, but what's it about it that makes it different?
Well, what I would love to be able to do is, our end goal is to go from 2,000 active users to 10,000. So that's the goal. And that will take us from 15,000 to about 100,000 trusted connections in our network, because not everybody who's a trusted connection is a user of our software. Some people will never use it, but they can still be a connection. So what will happen then is, if I want to, instead of me searching and cold calling and spamming somebody on LinkedIn, I would rather use my most trusted to find somebody who can give me that warm introduction. So in a nutshell, Doyle, we're trying to get rid of all cold introductions and all cold outreach and replace it with warm introductions. Yeah.
It's interesting. We had Timothy Hughes on, not yesterday, the previous session. Well, I've been going at this since like 9 a.m. Perth time. So we got like about 2 hours left. But Timothy is kind of big into the social selling. So he's not anti-automation, but he's wanting to make sure that we use social selling, that whole terminology around that, by creating relationships. So how does this tool help create those relationships that we can then leverage and utilize and that sort of thing?
Wow, that's a really good, important. Okay, so Doyle, the first thing is, it's about the mindset of a relationship. Now, so many of us are in sales mode. When we reach out to somebody, we're always thinking, how can I get a deal? How can I get a deal? How can I get a deal? And even if we're not in that mode, it's still very difficult to hide it completely. What we're trying to do from a relationship perspective is say, here's what I have to do. If I'm going to get, if I want BJ to introduce me to that lawyer in London, if I come across as a salesperson, BJ is not going to introduce me. I need to change my approach, and I need to be thinking, how do I build a good, strong relationship with BJ? How do I show her that I'm trustworthy, that I'm not going to spam, I'm not going to destroy the sanctity of what it means to have a referral, so that she knows that when she introduces me to that lawyer, I'm going to be a good person and I'm going to do it in the right way. That's the mindset of relationship building that we're trying to create, because I'm not trying to sell to somebody. I'm trying to become friends and prove myself to a person that knows the person who's going to give me that introduction. And that is the mindset that we're looking to shift.
So the mind shift rather of connecting, right? Understanding who it is that we're talking to, as opposed to just sending another auto message.
I do have a question, Scott. In weeding out sort of that new connection that you can trust, should you perhaps have specific targeted questions to make sure that they're not game playing you, because a lot of people can say a lot of things and actually turn around and do something different. So is it important that in that new introduction that you actually target specific questions?
Yeah, so that's a good point, BJ. And you're tapping on a broader problem. It's that 1 in 10, 1 in 100 that are unscrupulous. And you know what the truth is? No matter what questions you ask, there's a very good chance that they'll be able to hoodwink you if they so desire. Yeah. So what we've done, right, is because you're doing that introduction and you're making the introduction to a connection of yours, you will very quickly find out if that person has hurt your reputation or has done something negative within that meeting. You'll know because your contact will tell you and say, BJ, why did you introduce me to the Scott fella, man? All the guy did was try to sell me insurance and it was an awful, horrible meeting. Mm-hmm. Immediately that person's credibility is gone. And within the network and in the group, we are putting things in place that will create almost like a negative register. But that should, in theory, be incredibly rare, BJ. It should be very, very rare. But unfortunately, it does happen.
You're dealing with human nature. Human individuals. So it's going to happen. So I just wanted to make sure that that was a part of the structure,
Yeah. But it's no different than going to like a networking group. You always have those people who, kind of push that business card in your face and say, hi, I'm John, come buy my stuff. I've got great sales or whatever the case may be too. So you're trying to eliminate that. And I really admire that. Like you're taking out that kind of element that it's really annoying. And saying, well, we still want to connect. We still want to be able to connect with people and build a community and that sort of thing. But let's do it a little bit nicer. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you've nailed it. It's all about that nice approach, that warm approach. And one of the key things that I want to mention now is that it's very difficult to get in front of people now these days. They know if a robot's calling them, the caller ID on the phones, they know they're not going to answer their phones. They are not going to just take cold emails. We know cold email is just it's within, since COVID, it's collapsed in response rates. LinkedIn cold outreach, I don't think I even have to tell you guys about that when you get a LinkedIn cold outreach. So it's become very, very difficult to get in front of the right people. That leaves your Facebook ads. Facebook does not even talk to you, give you customer service unless you are spending $1 million US with them. All right. So it's just one big automation advertising issue, right? Fest right now. We know what SEO is like. However, those can still work. SEO is great if you get it right. Advertising, Facebook ads, social media advertising, still a really, really good way of doing it if you work with somebody who knows what they're doing. Doyle, you know what you're doing in that space. So don't try to do it alone. I have been in digital marketing for 25 years. I would not try it on my own. Mm-hmm. I would have to work with someone like you, Doyle, or someone like that to make sure that process is working. That said, if you want to get in the door to a high quality individual, the best way is through a warm introduction.
Using your, okay. Yeah, so you're able to leverage your existing network to be able to connect with people who you're not necessarily associated with, and there's real power to that. One of the other cool tools that I use with my most trusted is the events tool. Can you give us a quick little rundown of that?
You're using it. That's great. Yeah. So what it allows you to do. Yeah. So once again, we're talking community. So you've got a good group of people around you that you know and trust. If you run an event on LinkedIn, LinkedIn allows you to invite 1,000 people per week to that event. It's a gentle introduction. That's not a spam introduction, as you know, Doyle. Now, what My Most Trusted allows you to do is speed up that process, because you can go to your network and say, guys, please will you invite 1,000 people to this event? Normally, without My Most Trusted, they would need to click invite and they would have to scroll down and their index finger starts bleeding because they have to keep scrolling and clicking the boxes to invite. My Most Trusted just allows you, it automates that process for you. So if you've got 10 people in your network and they all invite 1,000 people. It takes them 2 or 3 minutes. They can make a cup of tea while it's working in the background. There's a little bit of automation for you, Doyle. That is automation. They can sit down there. That's 10 people inviting 1,000 people. That's 10,000 people invited to your event.
Yeah.
It's a great way of growing your events and getting people to register for those events.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there is a lot of them do land in kind of that no man's land where people don't necessarily check those notifications, but there's not much you can do about that. No, it's a great little tool. I've been using it. I kind of need to advance that next level where you actually get people who have been invited to invite more people as well, which will help magnify that. There have been a few glitches, not necessarily with my most trusted, but more so with LinkedIn, where if I've invited somebody to the event, they actually can't click on the accept invite. So I actually had to go in and find them and remove the invite, and then they were able to jump in as well. So
Doyle, LinkedIn is running off a 1990s interface, as you know,
really?
and I don't know if they're
Okay.
ever
No, I
going to
didn't know
change
that.
it.
Yeah.
There are brutal bugs in LinkedIn, brutal bugs. Sometimes if you invite that 1,000 people and you click invite, sometimes it gives you an error.
Yeah.
And then you push invite again, and then it works. These are LinkedIn issues. Did you know, for example, that if you go into a LinkedIn event and you edit the event, in other words, you just change the description, it removes the Zoom link or the link.
Yeah,
You've got to go
I
and
did that
read
like 3
it again.
times. Yeah.
Oh,
But
man.
I love what you're doing, because you actually update the date of the event, so it moves it forward, and then you're able to kind of keep that as a warm group that are familiar with that. No, for sure. Do you find that helps, or it works, or?
Yeah, it does work, because LinkedIn will email those hundreds and thousands of people before the event to let them know that the event's coming on. So yeah, it does work.
Yeah.
I do it about 5 or 6 times, and then I restart from scratch again and I refresh it.
Yeah.
But yes, it does work quite well. But you can, if you also do LinkedIn properly, of course, you can, and you use a privacy policy, you can export their whole database.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Well, export the contacts. That's what I do as well.
Yeah. The email
Excellent.
addresses.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then you can contact them directly. No, well, thanks, Scott. I really appreciate that. What's one of the things you're going to be doing in 2023? Exciting stuff?
Oh man, what's a good question? I'm having a hip replacement in the end of 2022, so I'll be recovering in 2023.
Oh, really?
It is exciting. It's not positive, but the output is exciting. When I have my new hip, I'll be able to run again and swim and jump and do things again. Okay. That's what I'm excited about in 2023. Having Excellent. A new hip, Doyle.
Fantastic.
I had last year, I can tell you, it is traumatic. It is painful, but the rewards are well worth everything you go through.
I might need one of those. What about my most trusted? Where's that headed?
We're going to target, obviously, to grow and hit our 10,000 active user mark. So we want to grow from 2,000 where we are now to 10,000.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah,
that's significant growth. All right, well, thanks, Scott. I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you've kind of allowed yourself to speak, so I really appreciate you taking the time to join us as well here and on the live stream as well. So thank you so much, and we'll happy to chat again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Doyle. Good to see you again. Cheers, be there. Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Bye.
See ya. Okay, so let's do a quick little wrap up, and we're gonna wait for the next speaker as well. I have Christian Jumelet from Paris, or not Paris, from the south coast of France. Trying to remember the name, Nice, around Nice. And he says he's coming, so we'll just quickly go through some of the other stuff that's going on as well. One of the things that I did want to show, I'm gonna put this camera onto the spotlight, is how we can actually use this tool. It's basically a I call it the Big Sky Strategy whiteboard. And why is it a whiteboard, and why is that important? Because it allows us to be able to change our ideas, and it allows us to be able to brainstorm our strategies as well. So we can basically take the concepts of the AMPS model, put them in place, see if it actually fits, see if it actually makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, it's not really a useful strategy as well. So we're able to do that with this tool. And then we can actually build it into the 3D stratahedron as well at the end of the day. So we take this and we fold it up, and we're able to put it into the shape as well, like that. So it's pretty easy. So I'm just going to quickly go through how can we actually do that, and how does it actually work as well, and how you can actually get one of these. We're going to be offering these on the strategystorming.co site. It's not up quite yet, but it is going to be up there this weekend. And fundamentally what this does is it allows you to be able to see what it is that's really important, and how you can actually do it, and how you can actually work with the strategy and use the model that I talk about a lot. And all these tools really kind of work together, and they're quite complementary as well. If you go through this strategy canvas worksheet, this gives you sort of the ability to be able to see, okay, what is it important? How do I actually build my strategy? Because I could give you this whiteboard, you can see it, you can do it, but you know what? If you're not sure how to put those pieces in place, then you're not quite there yet. So we need to be able to look at how do we actually do that. So this is why they work quite nice and complementary. I'm going to go over how to get the strategy canvas for free, the digital download version of this at the end of the session, once Christian finishes his talk as well. But in the meantime, like I said, what we want to do is be able to take these pieces and use it into a practical shape that we can actually go through. And I just had a quick little message from Christian. He did come in. Just got to send that off to him, and hopefully he'll be able to join us. But in the meantime, what we want to do is if we look at the model, the audience, method, process, and story, and this is again just to kind of follow along with that specific model. So step number one is we develop our audience. So we look at, what is the audience? How are you connecting and communicating? It's been a really big theme of today and how we're talking about things as well. The second step is what we call the method. And this is what is your internal structure that you use to connect as well, because that can be very, very important. We need to have a methodology, right? What is it that kind of holds the glue together in our business, and how are we actually using that as well? The third step is your process. So this is step number 3, and this is your process. And what is that? What are your steps that are critical to succeed as well? And so you can outline these. What is that process? A lot of businesses don't have a process. We just have a business and we haven't really put that thought into it. How does it work? How can we actually create these opportunities as well? And then the last step is step number 4, which is your story. And, what journey are you bringing your audience on as well? And Christian, welcome. I'm just going to finish up here and then get you up on stage. So we have these 4 different elements, and together those are what creates the AMPS model, right? So we're able to brainstorm them. And if we took it to the next level, we can actually decide, okay, this is your sub element. So these are our sub elements as well. So we can decide, okay, well, what's important about story? And in this case, I've written be seen, be heard, and be understood. And so we can take these and basically brainstorm and see how it fits and see how they interact. So at the end of the day, once we're done brainstorming this specific tetrahedron with the strategy whiteboard, we can then put it into the shape and actually see, okay, well, this one connects to audience. Process connects to audience. Actually, if you can see that here, right? Process connects to audience, and story connects to process, and audience connects to story. So we have to make sure that we integrate these across those boundaries as well, so that we can see, okay, well, what's really important? If we look at the method, what else do we have to be aware of? We have to be aware of the story and the process and the audience as well. So if these aren't interacting properly, guess what? We don't actually have a model. So we can go back and we can redesign it. We can decide, okay, that one didn't quite work, so let's try it this way as well. And let's fold it back out and let's do some more brainstorming as well. So that's the strategy, the Big Sky strategy whiteboard as well. And it's as easy as having an erasable pen, erasable marker, and your little brush as well. So you can do those activities very, very quickly. And this is going to be available on the strategystorming.co store coming up this weekend as well. So, all right. Welcome, Christian. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a
How are
lot,
you?
Doyle.
Yeah, comment ça
Fine.
va?
Un bonjour depuis la France.
Vive la France.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour. And thanks a lot for your hospitality and for all the attendees that you will have today. I'm not sure to understand what you would like to achieve during this meeting, but I am happy to be.
Yeah, no. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. Look, I honestly, I just wanted to chat about, your business, your projects, how you're using strategy. So give us a quick little introduction of Christian, what kind of stuff you do, and then some of the projects you're working on. And then if we can, let's talk a bit about strategy as well. What strategies are you using? How are you building them? How do you create them?
Okay, fine. That I would like I'm so sorry for my French accent, but I will try to do my best. I am an old guy. I'm born in 51.
Yeah.
It's a long time. I will got 72 next March in 23.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
I will have that. I'm happy to communicate. I'm happy to share, to give some input, to guide a lot of people worldwide that I am doing since a lot of time. Right now, I am working on several topics, such as in order to maximize the audiences of a speaker bureau, which a lot of people in France, but also internationally. And we are right now pivoting in order to put the speaker bureau in a metaverse environment. That's the goal that we will have, to put in a metaverse Web3 environment all the speaker bureaus in order to demonstrate to the enterprise what we will offer, depending of thematics that we will have. Thematic could be digital, but also on the kindless, on the empathy, on the working well together, and a lot of things like that. That's the first topic that I address now. I don't know if everybody know who I am, but I founded the High Clay Cloud brand 8 years ago with a charming, amazing, crazy woman. And the name is Chloe Akkad. And yeah. Chloe will have 29 next March. It's a lot of differences between the lady and myself, on the differences on maybe habits, process, age, generation. But whatever the fact, we commit. We commit all together since a lot.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
we are so happy to do a lot of things on the LinkedIn network, but not exclusively on LinkedIn, but also on Twitter, but also on WhatsApp, but on WeChat, on Signal, and others. ICQ, for you, is familiar, I'm sure. ICQ as instantly communication messaging that we will use in order to send information such as text, such as video or pictures.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was hoping to have Chloe on as well, but she wasn't able to make it. So I know you're the dynamic duo. You're always kind of working together, especially on LinkedIn, which is pretty cool. So with the High Chloe Cloud, yeah.
And the second topic that we address also is something spelled as O Happy Ways. O Happy Ways is a brand in order to address people on the management, how we will drive within the enterprise, how must be a leader today within the company, not a leader as organizational point of view, but more as leader servant in order to work with the team. And we are in the intent to organize an exhibition for the next April 23 in Yaoundé, in Cameroon. Why? Because we address all the Africa, Francophonie countries in Africa, but also Anglophone countries in Africa, with the main purpose is what? Is how work together, but is also on the employment in order to organize meeting between B2B enterprise and also the people we are looking for a new employment. And also that we are working also in this colloque, this exhibition, next April 23, will be on the responsibility societal and environmental as the RSA. I'm sure you understand.
Environmental health. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
health.
the second. And the last one that we will do today is working more and more within the Web3, within the blockchain, within the cryptocurrency, within the NFT. And that's the reason why right now with Chloe, we support an organization, and the name of this organization is MetaMakers. MetaMakers.
Yeah,
Don't
I've seen
miss
that.
this name. It will be an amazing name worldwide, I'm quite sure.
Yeah.
I am in charge to find some right person in order to fulfill the strategic committee, in order to explain and vulgarize how is the crypto, how is the art, how is the NFT, how is the game fee, how is the finance fee decentralized for smart contract and other things like that. And I am also in charge to find a lot of investors in equity, in order to invest in equity in the company, but also invest in a token, in tokenization, in a crypto within the company, just in order to be sure to be launching end of next year with the platform, which is a marketplace in order to sell and resell NFT for investor.
Yeah.
And what will be the persona buyer? The persona buyer will be the people range between 18 and 30, because there's a lot of people to this age would like to invest in crypto, but also more older, such as people 40 to 60 or more than 60, because these people don't know exactly what is Web3, what is crypto, what is NFT, and they are maybe got some fears about that. What happens? Is a speculation? Is loss of money? Is a better maintenance of my capital asset? I don't know exactly, but we have to vulgarize the concept, and we understand clearly today that on certain continents, such as Africa, is fast moving with the crypto. That also the case in North America and South America, is more and more today in Europe, mainly in UK and mainly also in France. But really, Doyle, I don't know exactly what is the exact situation in Pacifica area. What is the exact situation of tokenization, NFT in Australia? I'm sure you are fast ahead, is my conviction. But if you could give me some advice, some information about that, I will be very pleased.
Yeah, we're honestly, I think we're just exploring it. There's obviously your hardcore kind of blockchain fans and that sort of thing that you know, blockchain bros is the expression we use, where everybody's trying to sell you on blockchain. There's a lot of them here. But I don't know if they've really fully embraced it here. So yeah, there's pockets of it, and they're looking at, you know, not legalizing, but registering Bitcoin and that sort of thing as a proper currency, so that you can basically have to pay taxes on it. So I think there's a lot of space to go. A friend of mine from Canada, Tony Flath, we've actually been doing like a Twitter Spaces every week where we talk about some of those things about, you know, NFTs and blockchain and Web3 and whatever else that comes to mind in relation to this new technology on Twitter Spaces. And it's not actually a good time for you. We do it at 9 a.m. Perth time. So that's like 2 a.m., something like that. But anyway, we're just kind of getting into this area as well. And maybe we could do something joint in terms of that. Because ultimately my quest for using that kind of stuff is making sure that it has a very, very strong business case to it. Because if it doesn't, yeah, okay, it might take some time, but how can we actually use it today or tomorrow, like you're doing, where you're having these forums, you're having the makers platform, and that sort of thing too. So I think that there's lots to learn in this space, and lots to do as well, but we have to find those right projects, those right ventures. How did you decide like to go with that makers type platform?
Originally, that's the storytelling of three guys, three good friends, decided to launch a company in order to provide assistance for people we would like to have more investment, family investment as a family office. And those three people start a company. The name is Novalia Patrimoine. Novalia Patrimoine, which is a company now 6 years old, absolutely, with 300 different clients working in order to invest money. And these three people give some good advices in order to invest, for example, in real estate.
Yeah.
And they do the business like that. And one day, the clever people they decided to go to Web3 due to decentralized finance with the DeFi, with the smart contract. And they did, why you don't offer something like that to our client, but also to a lot of different clients? And why we don't build our own blockchain, our own NFT as MKZ, as meta makers, and the crypto, the name of the token will be MKZ. And why we don't do that? We will be different of whatever exists today in the market. And in this market, some large company, I'm sure you know, as Binance, as eToro. And for, just for funny things, eToro was funded by a best friend in Israel, is David Assia, is my best friend in Tel Aviv. And he has started in 2007, the eToro company. Today, eToro, as a marketplace for NFT and crypto, is definitively number one. 45 million of clients, 140 countries worldwide. Wow. Really, I am impressed. Not because he's my friend. He's an amazing guy. He's an Israeli born in Tel Aviv. He's a really clever guy working with me on the software development vendors where I am born with the software vendors. I'm coming from software vendors industry. And he was born in this area. I am born also in this area, in software vendor industry. Due to that, I got a lot of tricks and tips on marketing, on viral marketing, on ecosystem building, on whatever running around the marketing in order to attract people, in order to convince people also. And really, that I appreciate today with the project of Meta Makers is really a good project, because whatever the fact that we have a lot of players in this area, you have a lot of new alternatives due to Web3. And I don't know what is your knowledge about Web3, but really, if you don't, please, I encourage all the people to learn about Web3, because the next future on the social media will be on Web3. Web3 social media, I'm sure, will be the new network will appear. And it's some adventure coming from whatever the countries worldwide, from Lithuania, for example, from Singapore, from Russia also, from a lot of different countries. Clever people have read about the Facebook, about the WhatsApp, about the Instagram, about the LinkedIn network, and that now would like not a centralized way to see the world, but a decentralized way in order to give the power to each people. Let's example, for example, when you are building some content, Doyle, you do a lot of job, a fantastic, amazing job, building content, clever content. But when you do that, if it's coming sometimes the properties, the copyright of others, not yours. And in the future, when you provide some good content, is your own, is your content.
Oh yeah.
You understand my
yeah. No, I see that as well. Like I used to be a professional photographer, and that was always an issue where you have people stealing your photos, and sometimes it's deliberate, sometimes it's not. But the fact is that unless you find out about it, you're kind of lost out on that. And likewise with content, like that's always been a priority for me. It's like people are creating this content, and the only one who's benefiting is Facebook, right? Or LinkedIn, because that's where they sell ads and they make money. But why shouldn't, they be able to share that? Because they're actually using the content of all these creators from around the world on all these platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, it doesn't really matter. Right. So how can we monetize that? And how can we is one of the ways. And the other one is, how do we actually protect creators and protect photographers and authors for that content that they produce? And that's their job, right? They have to survive based on that. And if people are taking it or not using it or not crediting it and not, providing an exchange of value, then that's not really fair. And I'm not saying capitalism has always need to be fair, but you know what, we need to compensate people who are actually doing the creating as well. So no, I'm 100% behind Web3 and how can we actually use it and how can we leverage it, and what strategies ultimately can we use now to be able to put that in place. And the technology is still not quite there, and I've played around with it a little bit, but I think it's more, we have to find an application, we have to do a sprint, an experiment, a venture to be able to decide exactly what it is that is going to work, and then test it out and see it, and then if it doesn't work, let's try something else.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you.
Yeah. So it's a massive space, right? When you think about it, but it's a huge opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Oh, excellent. And so what's next on the list for you, Christian?
On what? Pardon me, Doyle.
Just in business. What's kind of the next big project? You talked about makers, and you talked about the African conference and the
on another topics, I will reinforce all my communication with my good friend as Timothy Tim has
Tim
put
Hughes.
on the Timothy Hughes.
Yeah,
absolutely right. I am very happy to be in the book as a contributor.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you were a contributor. Sorry, I missed that. You did say that. Yeah, and I was trying to draw.
I am within the book of Tim.
Oh, fantastic!
And I am very pleased to be. And we will open very soon a discussion between several players about what will be the future of social media, because I'm quite sure for the next future, we will have more and more engagement social media network, because the future will be, and due to Web3, I'm sure we will have a lot of new opportunity to quick build some, because today, as you know, when we decide to launch a new product on the market, when you have definitively done your architecture, your framework. After that, you have just to pick up on the market some open source in order to use different open source, in order to link this different open source, and you have just to put in front an UX, a charming UX interface designer to apply and personalize what you will do provide on the market. The key is to define what will be the key function of your architecture. When you will have finished the job, I'm sure we will have a fantastic way. And we observe with Timothy and other players that it's a lot of new players coming on the market in order to put a new way of share, exchange, participate on a collectivity manner. And that I omit to tell you, maybe you don't see because it's a lot of things on LinkedIn when you are publishing some. I am working closely with a guy, the name is Amadou Diawara. Amadou Diawara is a guy, is French and Malian. He's located in Bamako, in Mali. He has founded the Cluster Digital Africa. Cluster Digital Africa is a software which allow to do the same as LinkedIn, as Facebook, as YouTube, as WhatsApp, as WeTransfer, and so and so. And the intent of Amadou Diawara is to spread on the Africa continent this piece of software in order to have a lot of people running with this software. And the intent that I have with Amadou, because I am behind Amadou as the vice president of Cluster Digital Africa, the intent that I have is also, I'm sure, to provide a blockchain for the Cluster Digital Africa in order to get some money as a tokenization for Cluster Digital Africa, because in Africa, they don't like too much LinkedIn. They prefer to use WhatsApp. They prefer to use a telephone, a mobile phone, and not are using a lot with Facebook too. And they would like to don't have all the data collected, captured by American or by European. They would like got in-house their own data in Africa. And that's the main purpose of Africa today, in order to grow with the continent, in order to share within the continent with different countries. They would like to have a platform. They are the Africa platform.
Nice,
That's another big one project where I am trying to do my job.
Yeah, well, that's good. No, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, and really enjoyed talking with you, Christian, as well.
That's the first time.
Yeah, I know. It's like been all these years. We've been LinkedIn buddies for years.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah. But we'll have to do it again. And if there's anything that I can help with as well, please, let's chat. I think there's a huge potential in all of those things that you're doing and you're talking about. So you're ahead of the game, I'd say. You've got some of the pieces in play, which is really important.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah. Cool. So thanks so much, Christian, for joining in. I'm just going to close off the session, do a little rundown. If you want to take off, totally, that's cool. Or if you want to stay around for the next couple of sessions, you're more than welcome to as well.
No, right now, really, I apologize, but I have a meeting starting within max 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and I am obliged to leave. But I was so happy to share some information with you and all the people connecting right now. And I expect we will have another type of video conferences all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. Thank you, Christian. Enjoy the south of France. Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Take care. Yeah.
Au revoir.
Cool. Thanks. So we had Christian Jumelet join us from around Nice in the southern France. Yeah, that's where he is. So anyway, that was a really good conversation about Web3 and all the different tools that he's actually using. He's got some amazing projects that he's working on as well in that space. So it's really good to see what's going on and what people are doing and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to wrap up this session, and then we're going to start another session, and it's one of the final ones. We're into the last stretch. We've got like 2 hours left. So I've been here for quite some time, almost 11 hours, 11 hours. Yeah.
You are to be applauded, my friend.
Oh, thanks. It's
that's
a lot.
major session.
It's a super live streaming marathon. So thanks everybody for joining in on live stream. And if you do have a comment or question, I have seen a few flow through, so I really appreciate taking a look. I'm going to just do a quick little wrap up. One of the things that we were talking about before Christian came to speak was how do we actually use this model, this whiteboard, the a Big Sky strategy whiteboard, which allows us to basically brainstorm our strategy, and then we can actually fold it into a cute little model that we can then see and play with as well. But we have to understand the pieces that are involved in that as well. So what we have is the 4 core messages here: audience, method, process, and story. And then we have some additional elements. I don't actually have time to write them all, but we have some room here that we can work with, that we're able to brainstorm. Okay, what's really important? And again, we want to be able to follow along on this process. And I'll show you how you can get a copy of this actual workbook for free as part of the site launch. So we have all these spaces, all these areas to be able to brainstorm and be creative with our strategy as well. So it's really a matter of not necessarily, filling out a form and creating a strategy, but how do we actually raise that? How do we actually elevate the shape to see what does it actually look like when we're able to combine all these different elements together? And how can we give our strategy a shape? How can we give it a texture? How can we actually feel it and touch it and see it, right? And engage with it and see, okay, well, how does this interact? So we want to be able to do all of those things. But one of the first things we need to do is we need to understand the model. How does the model actually work? And that's going to be key. So I'm going to get into that, quickly share the screen, and then we'll continue on with Simon. Simon, I see you're there. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm just going to wrap up, and then we'll reset everything for you as well. So it's been a fantastic day so far. I think I've been at it for 11 hours. We're in that last final stretch as well. We have 8, 16, and 24, and then plus a few others as well at the end. So right now, coming up next on the hour is Simon Hodgkins, who's does a lot of amazing things, and he'll have to break it down for you. But I've been able to decipher some of that, and he's a chief marketing officer, he's a founder, he's the editor-in-chief, Think Global, Vista Talks, and he's coming all the way to us from Ireland as well. And then at 5:30, we have Rob Tyree, who's going to be joining us all the way from Toronto, Canada, and he's a strategic business consultant as well. So we're looking forward to talking with him. And one of the exciting things, I've said this many, many times, and I keep repeating it, if you're watching more than one of these, is it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with all of these amazing people throughout the day. It's just been absolutely stellar to be able to reach out to anyone around the world and be able to connect with them and talk with them about how they can actually how they see strategy, how we can actually use these pieces, and how we can actually put all these different parts together as well. So that's been super exciting to be able to see and do as well. So ultimately, what we're here for is for the launch of strategystorming.co. If you go to strategystorming.co, there's a number of contests that I'm running. I'm giving away a book, an hour for my book, that a paperback copy, and everybody will also get a PDF as well. We have a whole slate of authors that have contributed their books: Timothy Hughes, Michael Haynes, Andrew Griffiths, Dave Clare. So we've got a whole bunch of books as part of some mystery boxes and some book packages and gifts and that sort of thing. So go to strategystorming.co, and there's an entry form that you can actually enter for prizes, including one of the coolest one that we have there, the lab coat. I just want to push past that one. So the easy strategy lab coat, right? We're changing the way how we see strategy and giving us active wear for the creative strategist, right? No longer do you need to wear a superhero suit. You can actually wear a strategy lab coat as well. So, we've always sort of, when we put one on, we can all remember putting them on back in the day. What did you have to do? You had a chemistry lab. So you put on your lab coat, you knew you had to get down to business and do some work. So I want to change how we actually look at strategy, how we kind of create the art and science and the artfulness of business and strategy, and being able to put those pieces together in our fashionable strategy lab coat as well. So you can enter to win a chance for that as well coming up. We'll have the draw early next week as well. So there's still a few days to be able to go and enter also. So some other things that we've got the 3D glasses. So yes, you can have your own pair. I'll mail those out to you as well. We have the lab coat. We have a lot of workshops that are available coming up. I have the One Big One Strategy Academy 2023 Annual Strategy Planning Festival, which is a let's get down and deep and dirty to develop your strategy using the different models that we have, using the different pieces, the whiteboards, some brainstorming tools as well. So it's a fantastic deep dive into how you can actually build your strategy as well. One of the things that's really important here is understanding, okay, well, how do we think strategically and why is it important? And if we can find out, okay, what sort of type are we of a strategic thinker? Can that help us solve problems and solve challenges? And the answer is absolutely yes. If we know there's a difference between a learner and a teacher and an entrepreneur and an innovator and a creator and a few more of those, we can actually decide what it is that we're going to be able to do, how we can best solve problems. So take a look at that, grab the link there, take a picture of the QR code, and it'll bring you right to that neuromarketing advantage, the strategic dynamics of strategy as well, to give you one of your 9 profiles. So please take a look at that. It really helps you problem solve and understand. Throughout the weekend, today and the weekend, I'm going to be having a grand opening studio and shop sale. So everything within the store is 20% off. Use the code grand opening 20. There's workbooks, there's worksheets, there's models, there's templates, there's books, I said workshops. There's all kinds of strategy building tools to put in your transformation toolbox that you'll be able to take a look at as well. So I encourage you to go through those and see what might be helpful for you. The 2022 strategy survey. So we want to know what you think about business strategy. Is it time for reinvention? One of the themes we've talked about throughout the day is having those signals, knowing what those signals are. This is one way of being able to see those signals. So I'd really love your insight, your feedback of what's important to you here. How does strategy fit? How does this doesn't? Do you do it? Do you not? Are you planning on it? So there's about I think like 28 questions. So it takes a few more minutes, maybe like 5 minutes, but I'd love to be able to get your insights of what you're seeing specifically. So point your camera at that QR code and you'll be able to start the quiz immediately. And then finally, one of the gifts that I'm giving away as well as part of the strategystorming.co launch is the strategy canvas. And ultimately what that is basically walking you through the tools that you need to know. So it's a learning kit to be able to build your own strategy model. So I have it broken down into the 4 core elements: your audience, method, process, and story. And you'll be able to read to see how these actually fit. You'll be able to define these specifically for you and for your business. And you can use the existing terminology, or you can generate your own as well. So it's a really customizable strategy map. So I go through these 4 different steps, all the audience, method, process, and story, and those questions are reflected around those key areas. Then we have a worksheet where we can actually fill in the names that we want to use, and you can use the default names as well. Your audience, method, process, and story. And then you're actually able to cut it out. Just rip out the page and then cut it out. Don't cut out the tabs. And then you can actually create your 3D strategy model as well, which you can see, touch, and feel, and you can share with it. And something that people can see, you can hand that to them. You can put it on your desk. It's not going to disappear in a pile of paper. It's not going to disappear in a PowerPoint slide as well. So it gives you that opportunity to be able to make your strategy tangible. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do here, is make it tangible so you can feel it and touch it and see it. All right. So I'm going to close this session and then I'm going to welcome Simon Hodgkins on stage with me. And then we'll be going with Rob Terry and then we'll keep on going from there. So I'll see you everybody in a few minutes back on live stream. Hope to see you there, or you can join in on the Zoom here as well at bit.ly/grand opening 2022 as well.